Ooh, when a dragon catches a dragon, what do we get? Wonders never cease. So I've got a dungeon of dragons in my collection, and this is just 2 of them, but lots of others to show. This one here was a kind of Lazy Tongs action which I picked up perhaps about 30 years ago, and it's still in very, very fine condition, despite the fact that children have enjoyed playing with it, catching and pinching each other's noses on it, etc. It works very well indeed too. I'm very pleased with its quality, and it sustains a lot of fairly rough behaviour. Whereas this one here, made of paper, which is probably the oldest one I've got in my collection, is getting a little bit battered, to say the least, but it still sort of works. It wiggles about. It's got this funny little body made of a paper chain type of thing. It's got all the bits and pieces, but you can see at one time, when it's pristine condition, it would have been a very beautiful object. By contrast, a much bigger one, which I got not that long after, was this one here, which is, I think it's because it's bigger and larger and hasn't had such rough handling. And this is a beautiful dragon. It's again a beautiful paper chain body. It's got a head that waggles about. It's a funny part of Chinese folklore. They always seem to have a silver ball in their mouths as the dragons. But he waggles his tail, waggles his body. He can probably eat his own tail. If he eat his own tail, yes, he could almost. And he'd do a bit of this in the air as if it's... And for children, this is wonderful. They can just imagine that they're actually manipulating a real live dragon because it's so realistic. Very nicely done. There's one other which goes on a stick, which is this one here, which is not paper. It's actually made of wood segments. Curious one, this. Little joints. But the idea is to put it on a stick which they provided, and you put it in the middle there, which is the central gravity, so the whole thing's nicely balanced now. It sits there, and when you wiggle the stick back and forward, the dragon does these lovely snake-like, serpent-type-like movements of its body. Very, very nicely done for small children to imagine. It's almost like a puppet, isn't it? It's so realistic. So a dragon on a stick, and beautiful too. Wow. Then there's some automaton versions, which I've got. Here's the first one. It's actually supposed to be a crocodile, according to the packaging, but who's ever seen a red crocodile? I haven't, so I'm calling it an honorary dragon. Wind it up and see what it does. Oh, that's wonderful. It's what they call a fast flow mechanism. It goes quickly, and also the top of the key there is turning around and making it change direction. That's a very nice little feature too. If it goes around like change direction and then have a swivel. There we are. That's extraordinary, isn't it? So, honorary dragon. Well done. Then there's a very nice book. There's a number of books actually on dragons, but this is the most interesting I've ever come across because it's also something else. It's got pages and pages which you turn over, quite thick pages, but this is meant for very small children. But what are these curious ribbons? Well, a moment's reflection, you realise you're looking at a Jacob's ladder. That's what this is. But it's got a storyline to it, so you have to perform that in order to reveal the dragon underneath, I think. Let's have a go. It doesn't flip that well, but when you've done that, I think you'll find, yes, here we are. I've got to the denouement. There, finally, and the child has to spend a few minutes playing with it to find out where the dragon is, but there's the head of the dragon, and here's his body. And the storyline is all about looking for the dragon, somewhere between heaven and earth. Wonderful. But a little children's book for dragons. There's a deck of cards called the Dragon Deck, which the magicians produced many years ago, and I think it's still really available. It fans beautifully too. It's got a lovely fan to it. And when you fan it one way, it will look like an ordinary deck of cards. That way, that's right. I can't do card tricks, but there we go. I've got the idea. But when you secretly turn it over like that, and now when you fan it, put that at the back as well. There's the tail of the dragon, and now we've got a wonderful scenario where the dragon appears, as if by magic, all the way out to its smoke and fire and everything. Look at that, extraordinary. There's the back of the cards, and there's the dragon to the front of the cards. Superb. Done by a magician, it looks just wonderful, but I'm not up to that standard, but I do love showing it and playing with it. Then there's a couple of battery-operated ones. Here's the first of them. This is made by Alps about 20 years ago. It's got batteries inside and a little loudspeaker and so on. And when you push the button, what happens? Well, a bit frightening for small children. What a noise. Mechanically produced. I don't think his... Oh, look, his eyes light up. I think you need your teeth seen to, dear. You've got a few teeth to be pulled, I think. Never mind. Yeah, it's a bit of fun. But the noise is quite frightening for kids because it's such a bizarre, raspy noise. But I think it's fun. Getting a bit quieter too. And the other one is probably the most remarkable automata I've ever come across. This was used, I think, by the British Toy Fair about 20 years ago. It's an extraordinary thing. It's got a rail, it's got the feet here. I mean, it could be a dinosaur, but I think I'm going to call it a dragon. Look at those eyes, wonderful. And there's wonderful man from probably a sort of science fiction story who's going to drive it. And it's got a little wheel on it and a rack so that when you turn it on, it starts walking towards you. But in the most peculiar way you've ever seen. Here we go. Is that wonderful or what? Absolutely amazing. What a dragon toy that is, isn't it? Superb. I think the best design of optical illusions was this wonderful dragon design by Steve Wagner about, 20 years ago, I think it was. Made of cardboard. It looks like any old dragon, except that when you start turning it very, very slightly, it seems to move as if the neck's disconnected from the body. Or if you tilt it very, very, very slightly. What's going on here? Well, the answer, of course, is it's a hollow head. There's the actual solid head, but there's no printing on it, whatever. It's a hollow head, and the illusion is all obtained by your thinking that it's a solid head. If I hold it up against the background here, I think you'll see it more clearly. I'll bring up one of his friends too to perform for you. So by turning it very, very slightly, a tiny bit from there to there, and probably no more, and then up and down, and make him go side to side while he tilts up and down, you get some lovely effects from these. One of my all-time favourite optical illusions. And we got permission too from the company to print it on our website, and it's something you can download, but it's about half an hour's cutting time to get it to come out of the cardboard. There's a whole family of them. This was done by a different artist, but the whole family of them, all done for the most part by Steve Wagner, who spent ages, he said, when I met him, because I've met him many times, getting the eyeballs in just the right place to make it look as though you've got to look at those eyes, because this is a nasty, fierce dragon who's going to come and gobble you up. I've also got a very large dragon on the back here, which is actually used outdoors for 30 or 40 years now. It's a windsock basically, but it's made in Korea, I think it's all in Taiwan. There's his eye of the dragon. He's got wonderful ornate finishing. It's supposed to be waggled in the air, and it runs up and down and fills up with air. And I love the tail too. It's a marvellous ornate tail at the end. It's got this lot of a tail. Isn't that superb? So lots and lots of gilding in it. And for children to be able to run around the lawn in summertime with this thing on a stick, wiggle it about and make it thresh and so on, for them it's highly realistic. It's tremendous to see a dragon actually flying in the air, and that's what that does. Wonderful. And the last thing to show is what happens, I think, when you meet a dragon, and it's supposed to be able to play its trick on you. I think you know what I mean by that. So dragons are supposed to be able to do something quite remarkable that no other creature in the world can do. So we'll have a go and try to reproduce what a dragon can do and no other creature can. Ooh, what's going to happen? Of course, flaming obvious, isn't it? That's what dragon does. And that's like a podium powder. And it's what expects to come out of a dragon when your face with it.